Can someone shed light on this next statement of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Thumma bil Medina. Don't be scared to be wrong. Have a go, man. Thumma bil Medina. What he's referring to, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, you will conquer Constantinos and you will conquer Rome. And the Sahaba asked, which one we will conquer first? He said, the city of Heraclius. He said, Constantinople. Al-Madinatul Herakl. The city of Heraclius. And Al-Madinah he's referring to here is Istanbul. Because Constantinople was conquered by the Banu Uthman, and they renamed it Islambol, the city of Islam. And the Al-Madinah the Prophet ﷺ is referring to here is the city that used to be the city of Heraclius. It became known as the city of Islam, Al-Madinah. Islambol in Turkish, the little Turkish that I do know, bol, they use it today as being something is plenty, but back then it was called Islambol, Al-Madinatul Islam. You can call it in Arabic Al-Madinatul Islam, Islambol, and today it's called Istanbul. So the Prophet ﷺ, he said, the Khilafah will be in Al-Madinatul Munawwara, then it will go to Damascus, then it will come back to Al-Jazirah al-Arab under Abdullah ibn Zubayr, then it will go, after it returns to Damascus, with the Umayyad Khilafah, it will go to Baghdad, Iraq, then it will go to Istanbul. And this is exactly what happened. Obviously there's some parts, quite a lot of parts that happened in between, but as the Prophet ﷺ said, it happened. And now I just want to go through short pictorial display of how when the Khilafah went to Al-Madinah, how it ended, how it came to an end, and we are in the situation that we find ourselves today. So here we have. That's right. The Khilafatul Uthmaniyya. The Khilafatul Uthmaniyya. It was the greatest power of its day. It had an army of 60 million strong. It was feared throughout the world. The Europeans were trembling because the Khilafah kept on going westwards, going into their lands. And they were petrified that this the Khilafat al-Uthmaniyya will one day just take over the whole of Europe. So this in the green is the territories of the Khilafat al-Uthmaniyya. And at that time when the Islamic Caliphate was the greatest state in the world, the Europeans were in their dark ages. They were in the dark ages for 1,000 years. They also called it the medieval age, when they used to have kings and bishops and churches, and they used to always fight each other. They called it their dark ages. But then what happened? Europe came out of their dark ages and went into what they called the Enlightenment. They called it the Renaissance. They refound culture. They started to question the authority of the church and the authority of the kings. And Europe was starting to study things in a new way, science. They started to look at art in a different way. And they started to look at life in a different way. So they came out of the Dark Ages and went into the Renaissance. And our coming of the Renaissance, they also did create the capitalism. They used to be ruled by kings and queens and the church. They overthrew these with the French Revolution. The French Revolution, where they killed the king, they stormed the Bastille and established a new secular democracy. And then that was followed throughout Europe with revolutions. Until today we only have kings and queens in a few of the European countries. And those kings and queens that do remain are only there as a figurehead and to put their faces on the money. They don't have any real power as they used to do before. And then after that they create the Industrial Revolution. And that Industrial Revolution was they created these machines. They created the combustion engine. They created trains. They created huge factories. So they came out of their dark ages and now they were producing, they were rushing. They became the leading people in the world. When once it was the Uthmani Khilafah, these Europeans that the Uthmanis used to look down upon, all of a sudden they came out and they have the Industrial Revolution, they have trains, they have weaponry, they have all this sort of stuff. And then when they did that, the Europeans who were once scared of the Uthmanis, because the Uthmani Khilafah kept on attacking them, they now set their sights on conquering the world. They set their sights on conquering the world, and one day conquering the Uthmani Khilafah, the state which they were before petrified of. So now they thought, this Uthmani Khilafah, we know that they are unbeatable militarily. Militarily we can't defeat them. Because the Uthmani Khilafah was actually a military state. The Uthmanis, they used to do jihad all the time. They were built around jihad. They used to be just a small tribe in Anatolia. They just kept on doing jihad and jihad. They got bigger and bigger and they took over the whole world. This is how they was. They were military people. And they knew that we can't defeat these people militarily. So they concocted a new plan. They were going to destroy this Khilafah from within. They were going to destroy this Khilafah from within. So how do you destroy a state that is huge? Obviously a state that is huge, they got so many different peoples in there. Different tribes, different cultures. Let's make these people rebel against the state. Let's make these people think, why are we getting ruled by these Turks? Why are they forcing the rule over us? Why are we living next to these people? Why are these people our citizens? And they bred nationalism in this Khilafah state, which was seen a lot in the Balkans region. And I know a lot of the wars we see today in Albania, Serbia, Bosnia, it's because of what the Europeans did hundreds of years ago in instilling nationalism amongst these people, making them proud of their identity and hate the others. And then they also spread nationalism amongst the other peoples that were ruled by the Uthmani Khilafah. Along with that, they sent in missionaries to our lands. These missionaries didn't go in to convert the people to Christianity. They went in to spread confusion amongst the Muslims about their deen. They went in and said, look, us Europeans, we're creating machines and trains and all these sort of things, and you backward people are, just doing nothing. We're achieving all this because we create this new way of life called capitalism, called secularism, called democracy, called freedom. We put religion and left it in the church. And now we have democratic powers. Why are you Muslims doing all these things? Why do you have your women covering? Why are you, women, men and women separate? Why do you have this caliph? They start to create confusion within the minds of the Muslims in the state via the guise of missionaries. And at the same time you started to have the first breakaway movements. You had the Wahhabi movement in Saudi Arabia. They broke away from the Khilafah and they fought the Khilafah. If ever you see the Saudi emblem, which I've got here, it's a date palm trees and two swords. These two swords are the swords of the Wahhabi movement, who fought the Khalifa and fought the Khilafah and broke away from the Khilafah. They committed what is called Baghi, rebellion, which the Prophet ﷺ hugely condemned, and they rebelled from the Khilafah state and established their Wahhabi state with the Saud royal family and the help of Britain, who supplied with arms. As you can see now, the state's territory is starting to be broken away. The nationalism and missionary movements are starting to work. So you had parts of the state starting to break away. You had a lot of the Balkans region, they broke away, and with the support of the Europeans. Egypt was trying to be conquered by Napoleon Bonaparte of France, and these lands were starting to break away, and the Khilafah was becoming very weak. Very weak. It saw all the internal problems. It had huge debts. It stopped doing jihad, stopped going external, and it had all these problems internally. So the state's territory was starting to be broken away. Then what happened is that the European powers, they started to conquer the lands of the Khilafah state militarily. So some of these lands that were breaking away, they came in. So Britain came into Egypt. Italy went into Libya.